I'd like to start with a little bit of a questionnaire, just to kind of get the juices flowing. Do you want to flip slides? All right, can everyone see the PowerPoint all right? These are just some questions, and if you have a sheet of paper, you want to jot some things down, but just some general, we're going to take a few minutes, but how many cell phones do you use a month, or minutes? Do you carry a portable internet device? How many text messages is there in your plan? How many hours a day do you spend on the internet? How many days do you spend social networking? How many hours do you spend in interactive gaming? What is your preferred communication style? What age group do you see the most influence of technological influences? And then if you can name a time when you've seen technology change traditional social interaction. So if you want to take a minute and just kind of think about that and how technology has affected your own life, then we're going to move on. But we're going to start with talking just a little bit of general information as far as the prevalence of technology. And the personal computer, as we know, was introduced in 1981, and according to a British study in 2006, that 92% of people are using their mobile devices daily. So that's gone, just kind of shows how technology, it went from personal computer just really starting to be introduced, and then the mobile phone has really taken over, and all of these avenues of communication are really popping up. 80% of households report owning a personal computer. This was in 2008. It's anticipated that 78% of households will have a broadband connection in 2010, and families with access to information and communication technology differ from those without them, not only in access to technology, but in family dynamics as well. And we thought this might be a little bit of a launching point to start some discussion as far as families with access to information and communication differ from those without them. And have you seen any of these differences in maybe clients you've worked with, or how relationships have changed over the years?
I can't hear anything.
Can you? No. Okay.
If folks can type into the chat, into the text chat, they might be more apt to talk and type into the text chat on how technology has changed.
Thank you. Let's go on to the uses of technology in the family. We kind of see three main uses as far as planning, negotiating activities, and entertainment versus education. In these three areas, we'll touch on a little bit more as we talk about some of the counseling techniques and the relational impact that technology really has had. But mobile phones are rarely used by young people to socialize with parents. We thought that this was very interesting as far as the dynamic of how mobile phones are used and by different populations. So kids are more likely to communicate with one another socially, but not with the parents. Yet this next statistic was also very interesting, is that mobile phones are frequently used by young people to raise more sensitive issues. So a lot of times kids will feel more comfortable with these higher level of anonymity, even with their own parents, when broaching difficult things. So that's something that just want to let marinate a little bit, and we can bring that back up when we're talking about techniques. But the final quote on this slide is kind of a little bit of a segue into, Courtney's going to talk about the relational impact of technology. But rather than simply offering more choices, technology, this has become the characteristic way in which we engage with reality. And just kind of, in your world, how is reality and technology, what is the relationship you see between those things as far as how this has become our reality? theoretically. Why don't we go on a little bit more with the relational?
Okay. Those are really good points, and we're going to talk about some of them coming up, especially whoever said we're less likely to talk about meaningful stuff in person because we have communication. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. But, okay. So here's just kind of a little introduction, and this is obviously just text. And, you know, communication that conveys a high level of affect does not require being face-to-face. And you can tell through just text, you can see that it elicits response in you, emotionality. You can tell the difference between caps and non-caps, emoticons, extra letters, things like that. So you can see that it actually is, it is different. It's not just text. It can bring about emotions in you. Okay. So is there a problem? The relational impact of technology. Counselors have been using technology in counseling for over a decade now. And Lundberg says we're still groping for an effective merger between the technological world and this profession that's so humanistic, so based on human nature, relationships, things like that. So we're still wondering, how are these relationships changing? And sorry, I'm distracted by the text. I'm sorry, I'm just learning what this is going to be like. Okay, so I don't know. So anyways, we're just trying to figure it out because we don't know really how everything's happening. How can we reach clients that are expecting us to do things via text and via email? So the first bullet point here were face-to-face interactions now code